Guys, so I'm going to tell you why running was more elite back in the day than it is now. I was reading this book called Double Marathon 40 Years, The History. Um, so I think 1980 Double Marathon was like the first year where marathon running became like this all-inclusive kind of thing, if you know what I mean. So I think, lower standard runners were like, they weren't really seen as runners. They said they were like pariahs, they were like outcasts, like if you couldn't if you weren't at like an okayish standard, then people were like, oh, you're not really an athlete. Not that no one stopped them, they're just like weren't really welcomed into the sport with open arms, if you know what I mean. So what happened was, at races back in the 70s, before running became this all-inclusive thing, people would announce at the start of each race, the race organizer would say, right, we can't guarantee that we'll be here when if after 3 hours. So the thing is, after 3 hours they'd be kind of heading off going. So if you couldn't break 3 hours in the marathon, you were like, you're not really an athlete, are you? So you're just one of the sloggers. So I read about guys running like 3:20 for the marathon. They'd come home and everyone would be gone, if you know what I mean. So it's like you have to break 3 hours to really be a part of the sport, if you know what I mean. So it was definitely more elitist back then. Slower runners didn't get a lot of encouragement, though they weren't stopped from doing it. So of course, if you're running a 3:20 marathon, well, you better get down to sub 3 if you want to be like seen as an actual runner. So that's the way it was back then. So the way it's good and the way it's kind of bad, if you know what I mean. I feel like lower standard athletes should be allowed into the sport. Of course, you got to start off from somewhere, but what I don't like is piss taking. You get people who run marathons just to say, oh, I did the marathon, just to show off and get loads of attention from people. I feel like, I think there's a saying, somebody said on the internet once. I read a comment, people who aren't running for times should stay away from athletics clubs. And I think that is true. Like, why, go for a 10K and just, you get these people doing 10K races, stopping off at coffee shops, just taking the piss, smoking cigarettes. So I'm like, hey, you could go out and do that yourself in a public park, just take the piss and, make races less crowded. I think if you're committed, even if you're a slow athlete, if you're committed, if you're trying to improve yourself, if you're sticking to a training plan, then yeah, you have a place in the sport. I feel like that's the way I see it. So yeah, like, I'm a lifter. I'm starting off from the bottom. It's going to take me some time to reach a high standard, but I'm going to just keep at it and see how far I can get, if you know what I mean. So I'm looking forward to improve myself as a lifter. It'll take some time, but you gotta just be patient. Just keep going, day in, day out. Simple as that. Okay, that's how you become successful.